Welcome back once again to another very interesting lesson on the different ways to say what? To say that I am confused. Well, how many of you feel this emotion all the time? I do. We all get confused pretty much all the time, right? But the problem is, if you are using this word too often, I think that your vocabulary needs a little bit of a push. Therefore, today I'm going to teach you the different ways to say I am confused. There are many ways to say that. There are actually 8 different ways that I'm going to teach you. So, the first way to say that is I am perplexed. I'm perplexed. The pronunciation is perplexed, not but perplexed. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that you are confused, but you are also worried at the same time. Now, that's not a very good combination, right? You are really confused, but you're also worried. How can you use that in a sentence? Well, Sam was perplexed when the doctor diagnosed her meaning probably his wife, with high blood pressure. Now, we're assuming that probably the wife was quite young. She did not have any ailments before, but all of a sudden, well, bam, he gets to know that she's got high blood pressure. He's confused, but at the same time, he's really worried. And therefore, he would say, I am perplexed, okay? So, if you're still perplexed or confused, let me show you another example. So, Sam, once he gets to know that his wife was diagnosed, he, in a perplexed tone, will ask the doctor, what are you talking about? He will ask in a perplexed tone, which means he is sounding confused and worried at the same time. Okay, let's look at another way of saying that I am confused. The second way to say that is, I am baffled. That's a nice sounding word, right? But what does it mean? It means that you are confused and you are surprised at the same time. I mean, you are confused so much to the point of being surprised. Well, I don't think that's a very bad thing, but let's see what it really means when you use that in a sentence. Okay, so I am baffled that those who are even doing a good job get trolled on social media. Well, it's quite confusing and quite surprising that, you do a good job and you kind of have a great video on social media, but people troll you. That's not great, right? So when that happens, you are baffled. Okay, let's look at another example. Some people are baffled by what celebrities do. Well, I am. Some celebrities do really outrageous things. They might just end up, really surprising you, but they're actually confusing you and surprising you at the same time, and therefore you get pretty baffled. Okay? Let's look at the other way of saying I'm confused, which is I am bewildered. Okay? Don't worry about the word. I know it sounds big, but let me help you pronounce it. It is bewildered. Bewildered. Okay? Not so difficult, really. So what does that mean? It means that you are confused and at the same time you don't know what to do next. Now, that's not a good thing to go through, right? I mean, you're already confused, but you don't know the next course of action that you have to take. So, in a sentence, you could say, the teachers were bewildered when they learned that Sarah, who always got an A, decided to drop out. Well, that happens, right? Sometimes you have some really good students in school. For whatever reason, they don't continue with their studies and they drop out. Well, you are bewildered because you don't know what to do next. You don't know how to help them out. Or you can also use it in another sentence by saying, some shoppers looked bewildered by a wide variety of choices at the sale. I mean, when it's Christmas time, you go to a mall and there's so much of variety in clothes and shoes. You're bewildered because you're confused. You don't know what to do. There's too many things. You don't know how to decide. So you're confused to the point that you don't know what to do next. Okay? All right then. Let's look at another interesting way to say that you are confused. You will say, I am bemused. Now, a lot of people think that bemused and amused means the same thing. Don't get me wrong. Amused means that you find something very funny. Someone cracks a joke, oh, I'm amused, ha ha ha. But when you are bemused, what does that mean? It means that you are slightly confused. The degree to which you are confused is a little small. Not so much, a little small. So, in a sentence, you could say, she looked bemused when the waiter came to her table with dessert. I mean, come on, I ordered for the main course. Why did you get me dessert? I was slightly bemused. I was slightly confused. Or you could say, I was a bit bemused when my wife started to suddenly talk sweetly after we had a fight. Now, guys, I know your wives or your girlfriends, when you have a fight, the last thing you expect is for them to come and talk to you so nice and sweet. But, well, when that happens, what happens? You are slightly confused. You don't know what's going on, right? So you are bemused. All right, then, let's look at the next way of saying you are confused. I am muddled. Now, this word muddled comes from the word mud. Mud means too much of dirt, right? So what does it mean? It means that things are mixed up in your head. There's dirt in your head. You are so confused because nothing is clear, because everything is like dirty in your mind. Everything is mixed up in your head. So let's see a sentence. I always get muddled when people talk too fast. Yes, that's true. When I'm on the telephone and if someone's not talking slow enough for me to understand, I am really muddled. I don't like that, but, well, some people do tend to talk a little fast, right? Or you could use it in a sentence by saying, John is a bit muddled about his investments after the markets crashed. Well, sometimes when the market's not doing too well, there's just too many things that you have to consider as far as your investment options are concerned, and that's when you may feel a little muddled. So the next way of saying I'm confused is I am disoriented. Now, don't get worried looking at the word. I know it looks very big, but let me help you pronounce it. Disoriented. Disoriented. And what does that really mean? It means that you lose sense of direction. So let's say you want to go in this direction, but you're not able to do that because you've lost sense of direction and you end up going here or probably here. Okay, not a very smart thing to do, but mostly this happens due to drugs or any kind of alcohol abuse, right? So how do you use that in a sentence? How do you use I am disoriented when you're talking? You could say he walked out of the bar completely disoriented and they had to call a cab for him. So obviously this guy walks out of the bar, he can't even walk straight, and what happens? He can't get a cab. So someone has to call the cab for him because he is disoriented, very confused, and he has lost his sense of direction. We can have another sentence which says most teenagers get disoriented under the influence of drugs. That's quite an awful thing, but it happens, A lot of teenagers at a very young age, obviously, they are disoriented in life because they've allowed the influence of drugs or alcohol to take over. So they probably drop out of school, they don't do very well with their grades, and their life is pretty much not so great. So they are disoriented in life. All right, and then we move on to another way of saying I'm confused, which is I am dazed. Okay, what does that mean? It means that you are unable to think clearly because of a shock or a blow to your head. Now, mind you, when I say shock, it means a mental blow. When I say a blow to the head, it means that it's a physical blow, like something has really struck me on the head. So it could be a mental or a physical blow. Okay, but in a sentence, how could you say? You could say, after the accident, Maria was dazed for many days. Well, the sad thing is that when you have a really nasty accident, you can really be confused to a point where you are dazed. You don't know what's happening because you're probably under medication, you're under great pain, you're under great stress, so you are dazed. And we have another sentence which says, after the sudden death of his wife, Patrick looked quite dazed. Well, when you have events in your life which are very disturbing, it's more of a mental shock, right? Not a physical shock like Maria did, but a mental shock. So he was dumbstruck, he was dazed. So after the sudden death of his wife, Patrick looked dazed. And we have another one, which is, I am puzzled. Now this one's quite common and one of the most often used ones. I am puzzled basically means that you don't understand something. I don't know how many of you have solved a puzzle, but a puzzle is not easy to understand, right? You have to really figure it out. You've got to really understand what it means, but it's not easy to do that. So when you say I am puzzled, it just means that you don't understand something and therefore you are confused. So I can say something like, I am puzzled by her strange behavior. So maybe my friend, who is a really good friend of mine, all of a sudden she doesn't want to talk to me. She's kind of acting very weird, and that's why I am puzzled. I'm confused, but I use the word puzzled because I don't understand her. She's acting very strange. I don't understand her behavior. So that's it from me on this lesson on the different ways of saying I am confused. I would encourage all of you to go out and use it, because the more you learn, the more you should be able to apply it in your conversations in order to learn and speak great English. Until then, keep watching, keep learning, and keep practicing. I'll be back with some more lessons. Take care and see you soon.